Welcome, everyone. It is week number 7 in Science 200. We are almost finished with this term. But here it is, almost the middle of April, if you can believe that. We'll talk about what you did last week and what you're going to be doing in the next 2 weeks. I have a picture here of dolphin strand feeding. That is where they work cooperatively together in a group to herd fish up to the shore, and the fish will fling themselves out of the water onto the beach, and the dolphins catch them and eat them. Dolphins do this in just a limited area in the United States and nowhere else in the world. And so we find this along the coast of South Carolina, a little bit into Georgia, and I think a little bit into Florida. But that's basically it. They learn this behavior from each other. A mother teaches her offspring how to do this, and if you'll notice, they're all laying on their right sides, and that's how they always come up. It is fascinating to watch and amazing to photograph. So here you have a picture of it. Back behind me, I have a picture of wisteria, and wisteria is blooming right now in South Carolina. But boy, was it a cold Easter morning this morning. I'm sure it's going to warm up this week, but woo, it was down in the 30s today. Unreal. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on. Last week was your last week on the written paper that you have on your topic, your project for this whole term. So that should be finished, and when I grade it, then you can use that information. Of course, you can already use that information, but you can fully use that information to make your speaker's notes for this week, and I'll explain that in a second. Make sure that you work in your Sumo web text in Chapter 7 this week. There's not that much to it. It is about scientific communication and how important that is. And even scientists, though we're deeply involved in a particular project and research, we have to be able to explain what we do in order for everyone to understand it. We also get published in journals, and the chapter talks about peer review and how important that is. But I also want to mention to you that you are constantly checking with fellow scientists, with the people who you work with in your lab group, because you're always working in a group. It's not just one person ever working. Checking with people in your lab group, showing them your information, showing them how you're doing the experiment, checking back and forth with them, showing them your results and saying, hey, is this what you think this means, etc. I'll give you an example of this. So me and my friend Julie were working together in a tissue culture lab one day, and she was having a lot of trouble getting results. And I was just working in there doing my thing, and she was doing her thing. And what she was doing was irradiating white blood cells from patients of hers. And she worked in the breast health center at Greenville Memorial Hospital. So she was taking their white blood cells, irradiating them, and see how much UV repair they did to give an indication of how healthy their immune system is. And that makes sense because some of those women had breast cancer and some of them didn't. So she was getting no results whatsoever. I mean, none. There was no repair going on in any of the cells. And she couldn't figure out what was going on. And this was happening week after week after week. And I just happened to be in there with her, and I look over and I see what she's doing, and I said, Julie, have you been leaving the plastic lid on the cell culture dishes while you irradiate them with ultraviolet light? She said, yeah. I said, that's what your problem is. The plastic blocks the UV light, and so you're not actually irradiating any of your cells. And sure enough, as soon as she started taking off those lids and irradiating them, she got great results. So you see how it works? You're working together in a lab to accomplish what everybody needs to accomplish. And you're running information back and forth between yourselves. So that's a method of peer review, but then also when you finish your work, you write it up for a journal, you send it in. Then your work is peer reviewed by editors of that journal. Journals like a scientific magazine. And they love to critique you. I'm telling you that. And they will. You hardly ever get your article accepted just the way it is. Usually it comes back and it says, not accepted for publication like this, but if you make these revisions, it will be published. That's usually what it says. And so you make those revisions, you check your math, you look up some extra sources, whatever it is they're asking you for, and then you get your work published. And then it's out there for everybody to read and everybody to critique. So that's a really important part of science because it keeps everybody honest. It helps you find mistakes. It looks to see if other people agree with you out there. And if other people do, they'll use this work as some of their resources in their papers. So communication in science is very, very important. It keeps the whole process even and ethical and above board and honest, because yes, there are dishonest scientists just like there are dishonest people who shoplift in Walmart. Yeah, and make that lady check my list on my ticket before I walk out. Yep, that's because people shoplift, so it's everywhere, even in science. You're going to be evaluating communication in science by reading an article about the Deepwater Horizon oil spill in 2010, and you're going to see the level of communication and who it's coming from, which is really important when you look at any piece of information that's coming at you. Find out who's telling you this, if they're an expert, and then look at the particular information that they're giving you. So you're going to evaluate that in your Chapter 7, and you will produce speaker's notes for your slides, for your presentation. So in the last 2 weeks, you're going to make a presentation, including a set of speaker's notes. So let me jump over to this slide real quickly to show you what the heck speaker's notes are. So your presentation will be 5 to 7 PowerPoint slides or something similar. It can be Google Slides. It can be a Prezi presentation. You can make it in Canva. I don't know where you can make it. You can make it anywhere as long as it's a bunch of slides. And a lot of people have made slides before. If you haven't, if you need any help, just ask because I know how to do this. So anyway, even Prezi presentations. I made a really, really super fancy one that I presented to the board of the technical colleges of South Carolina, and they were absolutely astounded with my Prezi presentation. So I'm just bragging a little bit. So anyway, if you need any help with actually making the presentation, I can do that for you. So for example, if my topic was ocean acidification, notice I have a very nice graphic here of coral reef with a fish, because the first slide you want to have some impact, right? Okay, this week you're not making the slides, but anyway, I'm just showing you. So here's my first slide that I would be making, and I would explain to my audience what ocean acidification is. It's simple terms, just the general description, how it happens. Carbon dioxide is diffusing into the ocean, and that is lowering the pH. What are the effects of it? It's harming marine life, etc., etc. How can we stop it? Stop burning fossil fuels. Okay, so you get the point. But see the arrow down at the bottom? There's a little place right there that says click to add notes. That's where your speaker's notes go when you're making a presentation, and only you, the speaker, can see that information. So your audience sees the actual slide, that's sort of that aqua color in black, but you can also see that section that's called click to add notes, which is the speaker's notes. And the speaker's notes are just a reminder to help you say everything you need to say for this particular slide, right? Sort of prompts to help you with your information. So your speaker's notes are what you are going to say to your audience about your topic. All right? And really, you should write this out as if you were going to present this information to someone. So here are the sections for, this is the guidelines and rubric for your speaker's notes. And you have to have these sections. I want to point these out. I don't know how this is coming out on your screen. The scientific background, that's got to be your first slide and your first section of your speaker's notes. You got to provide the scientific background for your issue. And the first thing that you have to do is tell people what it is you're talking about. What the heck is an electric vehicle? Are you driving down the road with an extension cord following you? No. Okay. So what is ocean acidification? What is biodiversity and what is its conservation? Yeah. Tell us what your topic is. Tell us. You're really telling me. But anyway, tell us what your topic is and then explain the science behind it. The whole reason for you doing this project is for you to find out some science and figure out how to research a topic and find scientific information. So that's the scientific background. Audience, explain how this particular topic affects your audience. Okay, if you live in Minnesota, you are not near an ocean. So why in the world would you care about ocean acidification? You need to explain to the audience why this impacts them. Empirical evidence. This comes from your sources. This is other people's work that supports your conclusions. So you can have your opinions all day long, but unless you have other information to support what you're saying and other research to support what you're saying, it is just your opinion. Okay? That's the empirical evidence. Personally, why is this important to you? You're going to explain that. Investigation, that's that hypothesis and what a natural scientist would do to answer this question. Include examples from research that you find on this particular specific question that you asked. And then the last two sections are about how you deliver your speaker's notes. Okay? So you got to have the different sections: scientific background, audience, empirical evidence, personally, how does it affect you personally and why is it important, and investigation. All right, so that's what you're going to do. You're going to make those speaker's notes. I am going to put a checklist in the announcement to show you how you get through making the speaker's notes. The first thing that you have to do is plan the slides that you're going to have. Okay? You're not turning in the slides this week. You're going to turn in the fancy slides next week. But you're making the speaker's notes now. You have to know which slide you're going to be talking about in order to make your speaker's notes, right? So plan the slides first. But I'll put the checklist in the announcement. All right. And then, because we are getting to the end of the term, I do need to remind you that the end of this term is midnight, well, 11:59 p.m. on April the 23rd. And everything for the course has to be turned in by then. You cannot turn in anything late. You cannot send it to me so that I can put it in the computer, because I can't do that either. All I can do is grade at that point. So everything has to be in by Sunday night, April the 23rd. If you're having any issues, if you're having any trouble, if you're stuck, don't stay stuck. You know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you. Let me help you, because I know how to do this. So I'm here to help. All you have to do is ask. Email me, m.sigmon@snhu.edu, and I will answer you as quickly as I can. Okay? With that being said, I hope that you have a wonderful week number 7.